much deeper stress coming from climate change. We have yesterday released a report at IFPRI that points at the climate change stress for the food and agriculture sector and for poor people. On this map of the world and highlighting the situation in Latin America and the Caribbean, you see the consequences of climate change, taking a rather optimistic view regarding carbon fertilization effects of climate change, the consequences for rain-fed corn or maize production worldwide and in the region. Where it is reddish and yellowish, maize yields are going to decline and areas are shifting. The bottom line globally is that we have to expect about a 16% decline in the overall yields and outputs of maize production worldwide, and maize is, as you know, one of the leading world cereals. And the gains in some regions, because climate shifts, are far less than the losses due to heat and drought stress in other regions. So that's where the world food security system will come under stress. It will have price effects, of course. Actually, the story on maize is even less dramatic than the story on wheat and rice coming under climate change stress in the next few decades. The price effects for rice are particularly severe. Just compare the yellow and the red columns. That is the 2050 projections with and without climate change, and you see very large increases in the global prices resulting from climate change only. These figures do not even factor in what we will also see, that is increased volatility and not just a trend line of change. Agriculture must be on the agenda of the Copenhagen negotiations with 3 building blocks: investment, incentives, and information. Let me underline the key role of investment in agriculture-related adaptation and mitigation, especially in adaptation. The report which we released yesterday suggests that at least $7 billion annually are needed incrementally in order to deal with the adaptation stress of developing country agriculture. 7 billion. Well, the 20 billion pledged in Italy at the G8 meeting and reconfirmed recently were pledged for 3 years. So 7 billion. So 7 billion needed to adapt to climate change, 7 billion pledged, hopefully becoming true. That will barely deal with the climate change stress. We need other numbers, much bigger numbers, to get the world out of food security stress in investments. In sum, the risk patterns and emerging changes relate to the risk of high and volatile food prices, financial and economic shocks driving the volatility further, the climate change accelerating that volatility, and the political volatilities and fragile states with increasingly reduced capacity to address risks, and there are also some of those in the Latin America and Caribbean region. Ladies and gentlemen, let me come to my concluding suggestions for action. The agenda needs to be a pro-poor risk prevention, risk reduction, and risk management strategy. After all, food security is about risks, so we need to prevent, reduce, and manage the related risks with 4 action areas. Promote agricultural growth with technology and institutional innovations, and that's where the key role of research, of R&D in agriculture comes in. the world today does not know how to feed the world in 2050. Research has to provide these answers. We have to find these answers on the way. Secondly, innovate in insurance systems. I expect and believe that the next big institutional revolution following microfinance as one will be in the area of insurance. Why? Because we have so much more opportunities with cell phone, IT technology, etc., to cut the transactions cost in insurance. Third, we need to facilitate open trade and reduce market volatility, and that relates to the progress on the Doha round, overcoming export bans which were so devastating for poor countries in the food crisis. And last but not least, expand social protection and child nutrition action. As a previous speaker has just emphasized that so much, I will skip over elaborating on all of these 4 points for sake of time, and ask our managers to skip me to my last slide. I would like to underline that, sorry, the last slide, go all the way to the end. I want to underline that the International Food Policy Research Institute has recently decided, that means the management and board, to emphasize our work in Latin America and the Caribbean region more. We have developed a board-approved research strategy. We have appointed a coordinator for the region, and we have intensified our collaboration in the Latin America and Caribbean region in a set of target countries and regions with high food insecurity levels and prevalence. We have focused more, and we are focusing more on the analysis of the problems of poor people, both in urban and rural areas, especially studies of impact around conditional and non-conditional cash transfers and nutrition programs. And we focus more on the agricultural productivity opportunities in the region, because the region has a lot to offer for the rest of the world. For instance, next month we have a learning workshop with high-level policymakers for learning between Latin America and Asia. Very little of such trans-hemispheric learning has happened in agriculture and food security work. And we do all that in partnership with institutions in the region, and I look forward also to more partnership with IICA and others here in the room. Ladies and gentlemen, let me close with a plea. And I think OAS and IICA can play an important role in doing what I'm proposing. We need country-led strategies and country-owned strategies for agriculture and food security to reduce the risk situation, with common targets, with indicators, with peer review, and with investment plans and programs. That is different from the call for we need projects. So I'm arguing we need solid strategy and plans, and transforming country-led strategies and plans into investable plans, not projects. Projects are the consequence of those, but not the project first. So I call for a strategic approach, and we at IFPRI would be very happy to be partners of that. Thank you for your attention.